afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 223 of the Sticks in the Six podcast. As always, I'm your host, Andrew Forbes, here with my co host, Peter Barricchini. And as always, as of late, anyways, we're live on TikTok off to the side. If you're joining us on TikTok, make sure you join us on the YouTube channel as well to get involved in the conversation. We're talking Leafs, we're talking trade deadline, we're talking the trade freeze this afternoon. Maybe some breaking news if the Panarin deal gets done before the freeze this afternoon. And then, of course, we're talking some Olympics before we get into all of that. And, of course, actually, we will update our Austin Matthews goal fund for the donation this year going to the Princess Margaret Hospital for cancer research. But before we get into all of that fun stuff, Peter, how you doing this weekend, buddy?
Doing great, man. Like you said, it's a busy week right now. Like as you mentioned, the Olympics kicking off tomorrow. The women's hockey's starting off. I believe there's also going to be like the mixed doubles curling too. I know that usually starts off as well, but yeah, I mean it's in the full swing mode in terms of like sports and like major events. Super Bowl's this Sunday too. I'm going to a party. My Pats are back in it, much to dismay of every Pat loather out there. I'm sorry if you hate the Patriots, but Drake May is carrying this team right now. So you know what? It's a very fun week in sports right now. Something that we haven't had in a very long time where usually it's just one thing. Now it's multiple things. And as you mentioned too, with the deadline, a lot of talk around the Leafs right now. It has definitely been a very eventful week. I'm looking forward to what the Olympics have, especially the hockey. I mean, 2 years without NHLers. This is going to be the most anticipated like return of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it says as close to the sports equinox as you can get.
Yeah.
We're getting there. I'm going to say your Pats need a big game from Drake May. He hasn't been doing too well the last couple games.
Yeah.
But he needs a big game to crush those Seahawks and throw in a little repeat of a few years back on that Marshawn Lynch no run play that we can all look back and remember very fondly.
I was about to say channeling. He has to channel his inner Tom Brady. I get the numbers haven't been great compared to the regular season, but there were moments where he needed to step up, and he did. I just would like to see the fumbles and interceptions just down a little bit because of how big this game is. But you know what? Considering where we were last year, I was having no expectations whatsoever. To make it to the playoffs, great. To make it to the Super Bowl, even better. I'm happy regardless. I still think the Seahawks are going to win. I think they're just a juggernaut on both sides of the ball. But yeah, let's see what Sunday brings because it's going to be a fun game.
That's right. That's right. And as you mentioned, the Olympics kickoff. We're going to start seeing some more Canadian content from Canadian podcasters like ourselves talking Olympics, all types of sports. We got the downhill, we got the figure skating, we got hockey. As you mentioned, the NHLers are back at the Olympics for the first time in quite some time, so much anticipated for the IIHF. Still obviously missing some key players on that Russian side as well, but again, that's the geopolitical side of shit that we don't get into, so we're not going to discuss that. But obviously the women's Canadian team is already traveling down there.
Yes. I believe they already took their team photo.
They already took their team photo as well. Yeah, we've one of our former guests also on that team, so hopefully we can get her back on following the Olympics and possibly a gold medal as well. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that as well. But before we get into our Leaf talk this episode, I want to talk some Olympics. Your predictions. Injuries are starting to pile up. I saw Biz Nasty saying that why are we making these guys play 82 games when we got the Olympics as well? Anthony Cirelli, the latest to go down with an injury. Sam Bennett will be replacing him as well. So it's an interesting year. It's an interesting Olympic break. What's your take? You got any predictions for the men's side of the ice hockey at the Olympics in Italy?
Just a business take about like why are we playing a full 82 game schedule? This isn't the first time where NHL season has been played full 82 games and the Olympics happen right then and there. So it's different because of this new generation and new like crop of younger players. With like McDavid, McKinnon, Makar, Matthews, the Kachucks, all those guys. It's a little bit different, but it's still the same thing as if the previous years of Olympics when the NHLers went. In terms of predictions, I mean, kind of feels like it's wide open, but, like, how can you not pick Canada? I mean, you already have
McDavid,
McKinnon,
Celebrini, McKinnon,
Celebrini,
Crosby.
David Crosby, Makar on the back end. This whole entire team up front is absolutely stacked. Even with Anthony Cirelli gone, you bring in Sam Bennett. Um, by the way, I'm just going to say this. I'm seeing a lot of Bash Brothers content in terms of Wilson, Bennett, and Marchand in terms of like being that physical, antagonistic side of the puck for Team Canada. It's absolutely going to be fun to see because I feel like they're just going to wreck it all up. But at the same time, I think they'll keep it in check because they know what the international hockey is like. Um, but yeah, I feel like Canada does have the edge. I think the only weakness is still the goaltending. When you look at Bennington, Kemper, um, Thompson, I absolutely think Logan Thompson should be the starter, but he probably won't. They're going to go to Bennington because of recency bias. He does have a better team in front of him, but that those numbers aren't that great. You look at Team USA, a lot of questionable decisions throughout their lineup as well, both up front and on defense, but they got the goaltending. Sweden, again, they're dealing with some injuries. Unfortunately, Leo Carlson may not be there. They already had to do a couple of injury replacements as well. So it feels like a lot of their top players are going to be heavily relied on, but I think Canada, with the depth they have up front and the defensive mind that they have with their forwards to help out their weak defense as well, I think they could kind of like counteract everything. They went with the same group or same route as the Four Nations. Let's hope it pays off because I would have preferred, guys like Matthew Schaefer over like Drew Doughty or Travis Sanheim, Jacob Chikrin as well. Evan Bouchard, a different story because he's all offense, no defense. But at the same time, it's just how can you not pick Canada? I mean, they're the favorites. They got the three top leading goal scorers in the league right now, and I feel like it's advantage them because no matter who, and it kind of feels like unfair too. Because if Celebrini is going to be on like the wing of McDavid or Crosby, most likely Crosby because he's got that experience with him at the Worlds, it's just going to be unfair, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree on most of those takes. Obviously, Sweden's getting hit with some injuries. Like I said, there's injuries across the board right now. I'm not convinced that Matthew Tkachuk's 100% for the U.S. I think the U.S. has a stronger goaltending trio than Canada, but I think Canada's shown that they can kind of outperform and outscore those teams when goaltending is lacking. I'm on the same boat as you that I don't think Jordan Binnington got it done at Four Nations, but he's had an abysmal year, and the St. Louis Blues have had an abysmal year. I'm not convinced that he should be the starter for Canada. I just don't. I think Logan Thompson's done enough over the last 2 seasons or season and a half rather that he's kind of proven that he should get an opportunity. And right now Canadian goaltending unfortunately is at like a kind of a dark spot. Like we've discussed
Yeah.
it. Like Canadian goaltending is not where it needs to be. In saying that, like the team up front is incredible. The back end, there's certainly some question marks. I know there's that big Evan Bouchard versus Drew Doughty debate. Drew Doughty's been there before. He's won the cup. He's won a gold medal. He understands. Evan Bouchard. I mean, we watched Brock Faber walk him the other night in a game against Minnesota in overtime
Yeah.
to lose the game. So the holes defensively that Bouchard has, for me, at a best on best, doesn't overtake the offensive production that he provides. I think you've still got players like Shea Theodore and stuff that will provide that offense, but you need the guys like Drew Doughty who are going to rough it up. And Drew Doughty might not even see a lot of ice time. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
He might be in there just for a quick game to make sure he gets a gold medal, or a silver medal or whatever. But I mean, you have to think that the majority of the guys that are going to be playing won't have the last name Doughty when it comes to Team Canada, at least this year, especially with how Doughty's played since being named to the team. In saying that, like, one of the biggest question marks still, I think, is no Mark Scheifele, who I was big on. I thought Mark Scheifele should be named to the team. And Connor Bedard. I saw a video the other night of Connor Bedard when they were playing the the San Jose Sharks, and he was going up behind Macklin Celebrini. He's like, where are you going? Like trying to entice him into like, fun enticement into like a little
little
fisticuffs or
little
whatever.
friendly banter jabs here and there.
And there was a part of me that was like, man, if Macklin Celebrini turns around right now and is like, I'm going to Milan, where are you going? It would have landed so hard.
Ooh.
But I'm kind
I
of glad he didn't. I still think
think Bedard would have taken that to heart and gone off with like a 5-point game just to shove it in Macklin's face.
Yeah, just goes on to score 4. Yeah, Jimmy 2 times over on TikTok. Love that one as well. But yeah, I don't know. I like Bedard. I still think Celebrini is a better all-around player. I think that's why he was named to the team.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking at the team from a front end perspective, you've got Celebrini, you've got McKinnon, you've got Crosby, you've got names like that. McDavid. I don't even think I mentioned McDavid. You got Sam Bennett to rough it up. I'm so pumped to see Tom Wilson in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because he is going to teeter that line, that double IHF line, right? And we all know the double IHF is a little bit more stingy on some of the stuff that they're
strict.
They call.
Yep.
So he's going to certainly teeter the line, and it's going to be interesting to see where he comes out on that one. But
I will say this too. I'm glad Bennett did get in, because there's that, again, the fact that there are like so many Tampa Bay Lightning players on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Braden Point is a little bit more offensive side of things. Cirelli's a little bit more two-way. Bennett could play a little bit more of a defensive style as well when you need him to. I think that works perfectly well, because you're replacing the player that you wanted in that spot. And I think Bennett's a good replacement for Cirelli. But if Point was out, how can you not pick Connor Bedard with the offensive production and the impact that he could have in that regard?
Yeah,
I'm glad they got this pick right. It made sense, because at that time I'd rather have Tom Wilson than Sam Bennett, but Bennett is a good replacement for Cirelli given the two-way play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't disagree, or I couldn't agree more. I agree that the unfortunate part is, like, that Tampa Bay Lightning team, especially where they are right now in the standings, they've got that overall talent. So to have those players there obviously is a huge benefit for Canada as well. Playing for their coach, they know kind of his system, how he coaches. So there are benefits, but I think, with the way that Bennett played in the playoffs last year and coming up in some big games and being as big as he was at the Four Nations, I think, it was tough to leave him off. And we discussed that when they named the roster as well. Like, for them to kind of leave him off that roster was certainly going to be a tough move for them. But so we'll see how it works out. We're going to see how it works out. There's going to be some toughness. There's going to be, like I said, they're going to be teetering that line a little bit, which is going to be fun to watch. But the fact of the matter is, NHL players are back at the Olympics, and PWHL players are at the Olympics. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this time around. So make sure you buckle up, tune in, and watch your favorite team. Jimmy 2 times over on TikTok says, I really like Team Sweden. May surprise some teams. We are discussing that on YouTube as well, Jimmy. And I think the one thing right now with Sweden is they've got a lot of injuries. The injuries, I think, are going to impact that team. I do think that they are still going to be, Sweden and Finland always know how to create role players out of even their best players, but we're going to certainly see a different Swedish team than I think most people would have liked. Gary on YouTube, longtime viewer Gary K. Because they are NHL players, not Olympic players, the NHL should have extended the season. I wrote back to him and I said, I love this. I think NHL in the summer months is a fantastic idea. Let's go year round. But you're 100% right. Part of the negotiations with the IIHF, I'm almost positive, is that they're still going to get their 82 games. They're still going to get their money's worth as owners and as a business, from a business standpoint, and that'll allow the players to go back to the Olympics. I think that was probably part of the whole agreement. So I agree with you, Gary. I think if they could have spread it out a little bit more and extended the season a little bit. That being said, I don't think the NHL likes to extend the season, and then you're competing once again with like MLB and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's a compact season. We see it once every 4 years if they go, and it is what it is. Some of the best players are going to miss out because they're hurt, and hopefully they'll be around for next time around when the NHLers hopefully go back to the Olympics once again in 4 more years. So thanks for the comment, Gary. Thanks for tuning as always. Before we get to the Leafs, then, any predictions? Where do you see Canada finishing since we're a Canadian podcast?
I mean, bias aside, Canada for gold. I honestly think it's going to be Canada USA gold medal game.
Okay.
I think that there's going to be a lot of animosity, a lot of retribution from the US side, but a lot of motivation from Canada to repeat as the top nation, so to speak. But I wouldn't count out Sweden just because, aside from the US, I love their goaltending. I think they're deeper than any other team in the tournament. And if they could squeak out a way to get in, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think Canada, USA, gold medal game, Canada gold, USA silver, and Sweden bronze. That would be my take in terms of overall standings and how the top three podium would go.
Yeah, I'm stuck. I'm honestly stuck with my predictions because I want the Canadian in me wants to say Canada for gold, but their goaltending scares me. And I said that before the Four Nations, and Binnington made me eat crow. But he worries me. His inconsistency, and he makes himself so small in the net. Like he makes himself so small in the net.
I wonder if he has a very short leash though, considering the season that he's had. Like, if it's kind of like that whole situation in 2002 where Cujo started, they lost 5-2, and then Brodeur carried them the whole entire way.
True. Absolutely.
I just feel that's where I'm kind of heading with that. But then again, Cujo was at least a top goaltender that year. Binnington isn't. So that's my whole reasoning. I think with a short tournament like this, you can't play it safe. If there's one bad game, you got to go to Thompson. But again, I feel like Thompson should be the starter, and I think you would probably agree with that as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. Doc Lawton, Canada has the weakest goalies. I kind of hope this is like Scott Lawton's like cousin or brother or dad or something. But anyways, Doc Lawton says Canada has the weakest goalies. No doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, like, absolutely agree.
Any of us are arguing. Going on to say Binnington shows up for the big game. He has. He does. So, and that's why that's why I'm struggling with it, is because there's
which Binnington are you getting?
Yeah, which Binnington are you getting? It's kind of like the Leafs this year. Which Leafs are you getting on a game-to-game basis? Which Binnington are we going to get come the big games, right? But Gary says it has to be Thompson playing. Binner is a dumpster fire right now. No room for nepotism from Armstrong. I mean, we don't disagree. We don't disagree, and that's why we love having you on, Gary, is because we do not disagree often. Anyways, we are going to get to the Leafs in just a moment here, but before we do, a quick word from our sponsors over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Super Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. Anything can happen during the Super Bowl, and DraftKings has your back with early exit. If your player goes down in the first half, you still get paid in cash when your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. While other sportsbooks don't offer injury protection, DraftKings covers the entire first half, even the second quarter. And the early exit works on live bets too. Pre-game or in-game, DraftKings has you covered. Some big names to watch. Najigma Smith, it should go down for a touchdown in the game, the big game. Of course, Sam Darnold is going to be a guy that I'm watching as well. I think he has a big game. And of course, for Peter, Drake May needs to be one of those 2 touchdowns, 250-yard games for him to win the Super Bowl, I think, this time around. New to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Sorry, that's code XXX. Use code XXX to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required for additional terms and responsible gaming resources. See dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. So there you go. You got the big game, DraftKings. You want to win some big money, make sure you head over to DraftKings. Use code XXX to turn $5 into $300 if your bet hits. Joe from the bridge, what's going on? Welcome.
What's going on, Joe?
We appreciate you tuning in. Join the conversation. We got a lot of great conversation going on here with Doc and Gary. Join in the conversation. We just talked to some Olympics. We're going to get now into the Toronto Maple Leafs, who went from an abysmal homestand to now being on a 3-game win streak, heading into the Olympic break.
I don't get this team, man. I don't get this team.
All over the place. It's all over the place.
Like, God, can we? I know we said it multiple times too. Like, what do we make of this team? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they somewhere in the middle? Like, we don't even know that. They're not even like in the middle at this point.
This team makes me emotionally sick. That's what they do. They emotionally stunt my ability to feel anything because I just shut down when I'm watching Leaf games now because I don't know what to feel. I'm this season I am over it. I'm over it.
It's a day-to-day, week-to-week basis for me because I wasn't even going to watch the game last night. I was writing something, before the game started, and then all of a sudden, like, I see the start of the game. The Leafs are actually playing well. They got off to a good start. I'm like, great. They're going to suck me in. They're going to give me hope. They actually gave me hope for once on a back-to-back against the Oilers, which I was not expecting a win.
Yeah. No,
so it's like, what are we doing here? And then just the previous week, they lost all 6 games, allowing 6 goals 3 times, and lost to the divisional opponents, which could have gained you some ground. Like, my head just hurts just thinking about it right now.
I think Gary Kay's got the answer. He says the Leafs are bipolar.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Not wrong. I mean, that's the sentiment online too.
We got the highs, we got the lows. They're all over the place. You don't know which team you're getting. We just mentioned that as well. Joe says, of course, they finished on a 3-game winning streak.
Because it's typical. Yeah.
I mean, that's the Leafs. That's the Leafs, right? And over on TikTok, Rambo says, will Toronto trade Matthews? So let's get right into the trade talk because I released a piece on the Hockey Writers yesterday about something that Elliot Friedman had reported on. The Leafs have been in contact with Judd, who is Matthews' agent.
Judd Moldauer? Yeah.
And basically the conversation was, are you with us? We're going to go through a retooling. We're still going to sell at the deadline. The expectation is that Matthews is all in with the Leafs right now. He wants to stay.
That's the mindset you want, at least.
And that's the mindset you want. And I wrote about it because I love the transparency. I think going into the deadline, there's always so much distraction that this kind of steered away from that. So, Rambo, to answer your question, no, the Leafs are not going to trade Austin Matthews this trade deadline.
No.
He's all in with the Leafs. He wants to stay with the Leafs, which has been kind of a similar sentiment that we've been getting from a lot of players. Brandon Carlo's another guy who came out and said, I love it here. I want to stay. Yeah. Scott Lawton's come out and said, this is the team I grew up watching. I want to stay. Obviously, a free agent at the end of the year as well. So that was a guy that was on the list of possible trade assets. Right now, the guys that are drawing the biggest attention, believe it or not, Calle Yarncroke is seen as a viable option for a middle six for a lot of teams. Mm-hmm. Won't have a huge return. Bobby McMahon is a guy that we've seen continuously named in the media as well. And then, obviously, you go down the list to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. One guy that you mentioned as well in your recent piece, and we'll get to that momentarily, is Morgan Rielly. With the Leafs having 20-plus wins, I think it was like 24.
I think they're 24-5-1.
That's it, 24-5-1 without him in the lineup since, 22-23?
Yes. 22-23, 24-5-1 after last night's game, I believe. It's not that it'll be 25, but
without what's considered your top defenseman in the lineup, which is a scary thought when you think about it, when you break it down. Doc Lawton as well. If Willie doesn't get hurt in Vegas, they're a playoff spot right now.
I was about to say we were going to get to that as well.
Yeah, we're gonna.
That's
get to
another
that
topic we will get to.
Yeah, absolutely. So stick around, Doc. We'll talk about that momentarily here, but I want to talk about this deadline first, because obviously we mentioned the trade freeze now. We could have breaking news in this episode if Panarin gets traded while we're discussing everything. But
as you see me looking down on my phone, I'm actually trying to keep tabs on that just to make sure I don't miss anything.
Guys, what you don't know if you've just started watching the show, we're in season 6. This is the outside insider show. So when news breaks, we're on it. Actually, we've broken a few stories.
The Taylor Hall one in our second season.
The Taylor Hall one was good.
I remember that one.
I also was thinking of when I wrote that piece about how the Leafs should pick up Giordano, and like the next day and traded for Giordano.
Yeah.
So I mean, we got some inside insight, but we're still on the outside. But anyways,
when we shoot our shot, sometimes we make it.
We shoot our shot. With that said, this 3-game win streak heading into the trade freeze and the Olympic break, does it change anything for the Maple Leafs?
Definitely not. No. It's actually been reported too, and even I said this last night, and it's been noted since then that despite winning these 3 games, it doesn't change the fact that they should sell off their assets or ones that could get a good return, like a McMahon, like an OEL, or even like if you need to sell off UFAs, guys like Yarncroke, who doesn't have a place in the lineup, Carlo, with his name coming up, Stetcher is another name that's coming up as well. Although I'd like to keep him and OEL as best as possible, but who knows? Just mainly because that with these 3 games, it kind of gives you hope. They move up further in the standings. But what's going to happen when you don't go into that like mid-sell mode like the Bruins last year, and you feel like you have hope, and let's say you do make the playoffs, but you get blown out of the first round, you lose in 4, 5, 6 games. What was buying at the deadline all for? You lost assets. You're back at square one. You have a weakened pool even more than what you're already going to have if you choose to do so. Like if you moved on from Cowan or Danford just to win right now, that's the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. Then you might as well just go into full-on rebuild, tank next year, get a top 5 pick, whatever. To me, you're already staying the course right now. You have a difficult chance of making it in. Like I believe their odds are only at 10% right now. 7% before the game last night. Yeah, they jumped up 3%, but you got to factor into the fact that games in hand.
Still double digits though.
Still double digits, but also, you're not going to get a whole lot of help from your own division this time because everybody is on par with you. The parity is real. You can't rely on anybody else. You have to rely on your own game, and the Leafs can't do that. So to me, staying the course is the right move. Get the assets that you need, and it looks like right now, like I know we're going to talk about Bobby McMahon too. They're asking for a first-round pick, and I don't mind that one bit because if you got 2 seconds, or if Vancouver got 2 seconds for Kiefer Sherwood, Bobby McMahon is definitely worth a first-round pick and a guy that can actually. Not to say that Sherwood can't be a top 6 player, but McMahon does have more experience, and he's played on the top line. He could fit in well with the top line any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that. Elliot Friedman just reported that recently as well, that they're looking for a first-round pick. And we've talked numerous times about how the Leafs need draft capital. And draft capital, especially in a draft like this year, which is so deep, you need that first-round pick. And they've... Unfortunately, over the last few seasons, they've moved on from a number of their first-round picks, and this is just par for the course. Is that they normally trade away that first-round pick. Mm-hmm. To get one back now would be such a huge get for them. As I mentioned in this type of draft as well, being as deep as it is. Doc Lawton, I would still sell some of these players.
Yeah.
Waugh, Domi, McMahon, and OEL.
Yeah.
I think those are the top names on the trade market right now. Obviously, Yarncroke's another guy that I mentioned. I think they could move him for a little less and maybe still get some assets back. But you mentioned like Bob McMahon. If you can't get I think it's going to be tougher to trade him. I think they're going to have a hard time moving him because they want that first round pick, and I think you can't settle for anything less. The guy's got 19 goals, 32 points in 56 games, moving up and down the lineup. Like he hasn't consistently played with one line at all this season, and it kind of goes to show you his versatility within a
Yeah.
lineup. Is he a first round or first line guy? No, but he can play in a first line role if needed, and he's showing that right now. He's got the speed to do it. I'd say he's more of a third line guy, middle six guy, but it's definitely something that the Leafs have to kind of take at right now and say like, this is what we have. This is the asset that we have. We got to push hard to try and get ourselves a first round pick or get back into that first round this season. So, and obviously their first round pick this year is also top 5 protected. So if they totally bum out at the tail end of the season, they get a top 5 pick, then we're obviously it's a different story. Spike McMahon should get a first because of his cap. Well, his cap hit for one.
And also, too, he's an RFA, no?
Yes.
Or is he in UFA
No, I believe he's an RFA.
at the end of this
Actually,
season?
age 29. I don't know if he's an RFA or not. I don't think
He is a UFA. He is a UFA, but
yeah.
1.35 million for a potential middle six, top 6 forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the Leafs approach it. Obviously, as we mentioned, they've talked to Matthews Camp. Yes, thank you, Doc.
Yes,
yeah.
thanks, Doc.
They've talked to Matthews Camp. They've let them know that there's going to be retooling and you're going to see some of their bigger guys sold off. And I think OEL is a big name that's going to go. We saw him again last night in the game standing up for Stolarz. He's playing a different role than he did early on in his career, and it's working so well for him right now. We mentioned it before. I believe he's top 20 in defensive scoring this year, and he's had a stand-up season. So, the Leafs are approaching it differently. The three game streak doesn't change a thing, and in fact, I think approaching it knowing that you're going to sell off, you have this understanding that you're either going down or you're going to make it work with the pieces that you get back. And I think the Leafs are comfortable knowing that that's where they're at right now. I think the retool is a good way to go. So you're not starting fresh. You're not changing the root of your team. You're rather changing the surface level of what you have. And I think that's what they need to do, especially with the changes they went through last offseason. Doc Lawton package McMahon in a deal for Jason Robertson. I know it would take more than that, but it's a starter.
You would have to add a whole lot more into that. I think that would.
It would be interesting though, because Jason Robertson's also UFA at the end of the year. He's already voiced his interest in possibly moving on because they don't think he's going to get the money that he wants in Dallas.
He did change agents.
Yeah, and we've had this conversation before too, though, about like, did the Leafs want to pay Jason Robertson $12 million in the offseason? I'm not sure. I'm not confident that that's where you want to go, but it does certainly give Matthews a first line player to play with next year. And where does the excitement land with him and Nick playing on the same team? You also got to sign Nick as well, so. It'd be interesting. I do think they'd have to give up a hell of a lot more, and you'd be talking prospects at that point. I think Ben Danford would be a name that'd be thrown out. I'm not sure you want to move on from that right now, especially with the idea of Morgan Rielly possibly being a name that moves. In saying that, you released a piece, Peter, yesterday, or was it yesterday or today? The Morgan Rielly piece yesterday.
Oh, that was like a couple days ago. Yeah,
a couple days ago. In discussing, the Leafs' record, obviously with Morgan Rielly out of the lineup, if the Leafs should look at moving Morgan Rielly, your thoughts on a guy who obviously believes in this team, has been around with some of the darkest days with this organization. Is Morgan Rielly a name that we might see moved at the deadline? And is it better for the Leafs? Is it better for the player to kind of get that fresh start? Even though He signed a relatively team-friendly deal at a good cap hit, and he's a guy that has a no-trade clause.
Deadline, no. I this isn't one thing that you want to look at right now mid-season. It's one you would have to look into the offseason. And multiple times too, when I've talked about Morgan Rielly play comparison and everything like that, it was on that Leaf Report podcast with James Myrtle and Jonas Siegel. And I kept saying it was Jonas Siegel, but it was James Myrtle that brought up Rielly's notion of the no move clause, but the whole thing about, hey, we're kind of done with you right now. We want to move on. What say you, kind of thing. It was Myrtle with that. And that still resonated with me throughout this whole entire time. And it kind of thought that I wanted to write about it because it does make sense. We have seen time and time again previously in the past. It's not often, but, players with no move clauses do waive to benefit the team. And Morgan Rielly seems like a kind of guy that would do that. But then again, he's got that no trade protection. He wants to stay here. He has his right to waive it or not. But his play is diminished. You've noticed it this season. He gets beaten around very easily. He can't keep up. He's slower. The game's getting faster, and he just can't keep up. Mm-hmm. Again, you're like, yeah, he's being a little bit productive, but it's kind of like Evan Bouchard. At what cost is that production when you're playing defense and you keep getting beat every single time? Again, he's been through a lot. He's been through a rebuild himself. If the team does say, listen, we are in a different spot than you right now, we want to move on. It's kind of like the whole Mitch Marner thing. We know that this is the situation. We want to present to you. This is what we have in plan. The future doesn't involve you. We want to move you. Will you waive your no move? And again, it all comes down to the player. We said it time and time again, but to me, it just seems like he needs a fresh start, and the Maple Leafs need to get quicker on the back end. And yeah, he's a great character on and off the ice, but at some point, you got to think about what's best for the team. And his play right now isn't cutting it out. And again, the record itself, 24-5-1 without him, begs the question that is the team actually better off without him? I mean, we could even talk about Nylander too, how they were so bad without him. And now he comes back and they go on a 3-game winning streak. So what are we? I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know what the conversation is going to be like, but it could be another deep one that they had at the end of last season where they wanted a little bit more from Rielly. And the fact that they still haven't gotten that could lead to more of a difficult conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, you have that conversation. I think too, like it's interesting to note, like Brandon Carlo's played better without Morgan Rielly. Morgan Rielly's played better without Brandon Carlo.
Do you see that meme where it's like a picture of Nick Lidstrom and it's like Brandon Carlo without Morgan Rielly?
I think, and that's what kind of struck that in my mind was like,
yeah,
maybe the conversation's not so much that Morgan Rielly needs a change. Maybe Morgan Rielly is not a first pairing defenseman anymore. Maybe he's a guy that, the Jake Gardner syndrome where like you're sticking him in a situation that he's not meant for anymore.
Asking too much.
You're asking too much. Maybe he moves down to the 3-4 spot and you give him an opportunity to play a different role in the lineup, and don't expect him to be a 70-point defenseman. Like the Leafs, he had that one incredible year offensively, and the Leafs have expected to have that ever since. It's
not realistic
to think about, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's just a thought that came to my mind when I saw that Carlos playing better without him.
Mm-hmm.
Joe from the Bridge, I think Dallas would be more willing to deal for roster players than picks or prospects. Maybe a straight up hockey trade like McMahon, Carlo Domi, etc. Those players would help Dallas right now.
It's possible.
That's not a bad thought. It's not a bad thought. I still think you'd have to throw like a decent prospect or player into that as well. Albeit, as we mentioned, Jason Robertson has an expiring contract. So how much does that?
And RFA rights too. That's going to be even more valuable. Don't forget.
Yeah. So I think that's where the prospect and all that comes in, because you are trading a potentially future asset in the fact that he's an RFA for roster players. I get what you're saying though. Dallas wants to win now. Dallas wants it now, and they want to they have an opportunity to do that. I think if you move Jason Robertson, though, do the Leafs have the pieces outside of maybe Bobby McMahon to fill that void that they're going to have up front? I don't think they do, right?
Yeah.
And the chemistry that Rantanen, Robertson, all those guys have kind of built together. It'd be tough for a team to let a player like Jason Robertson go for 3, let's say, mid-level players off of a Maple Leafs roster who, I mean, let's be honest, the Leafs have not played well this season.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, I like the idea. I like where you're going with that. I still think there'd be a necessary first-round pick, which they don't have one for the next 2 years. Or there'd be, a top-end prospect, which, again, I'm not really ready to give up on Ben Danford. I think he's got a lot of potential, especially for a lineup that needs that kind of willingness to go out and, hit the opponent and all that kind of stuff. So
I was about to say, seeing him with Team Canada and especially with Brantford this year, he's elevated his game. Like, he's taken a big step forward. Before, I want to play a little game with you.
Okay.
Don't mean to go into like a whole jigsaw moment there. But this is revolving a potential player that the Maple Leafs could trade. And hear me out with this. And it's something that's going to be coming out tomorrow too. So be on the lookout for that. Player A and B both have 16 primary points at 5-on-5. But player A has 19 5-on-5 points. But player B has 25 points. Player A was moved for a first-round pick. Who are the players I'm talking about?
Are we talking both Leafs?
Well, player A is a comparison to player B. One is a Leaf.
Okay, so, oh man,
I'll say that again. Players A and B have 16 primary points at 5-on-5, but player A has 19 points at 5-on-5. Player B has 25. Player A went for a first-round pick.
So
this is very recent.
Player B is player B Oliver Ekman-Larsson?
Player B is Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Okay, all right.
And player A?
Player A was moved recently, you said?
Yep.
Was moved for a first-round pick. It's not Quinn Hughes.
No. Quinn Hughes would have way more primary points than 5-on-5 points.
Player A. I'm trying to think of what. Oh, Rasmus Anderson.
Bingo.
Man, I can't believe I didn't get that first. That's crazy.
By that comparison, because OEL has better production or slightly better production than Rasmus Anderson, and everyone is saying this take two, where Anderson went for a first because he's younger and everything like that, but he's also a UFA. The reason why I feel like OEL is just as great of a trade chip as Bobby McMahon right now is because of that point production. Yep. Yes, he's 5 years older, but the term that he has.
Yeah.
$3.5 million for the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. If Anderson, a rental, and UFA could go for a first-round pick, mm-hmm. plus a roster player in Zach Whitecloud, plus a B-level prospect as well, how can that not be a comparable package to a framework for OEL?
Yeah, no, I love that. That's a great comparison. And can we go back to the Vegas record since they moved since they acquired Anderson?
What are they, like 1-5, 1-6?
1-8. 1-8 since they acquired Rasmus Anderson.
Yeah.
And they have the 5th most wins in regulation of any team in the Metro.
Yeah.
But they're first in the division because of the loser point. Vegas shouldn't even be a playoff team right now.
You saw Puck Empire's tweet then.
I did, yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, yeah, you can pay up all that much, but at the same time, it's like, Rasmus Anderson's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I
Oh yeah,
wanted Rasmus
oh yeah.
Anderson.
But
I feel like
it's too many cooks in the kitchen.
yes. And that is why I felt like the Maple Leafs kind of dodged the bullet and should wait to sign him, because I don't think they have a deal in place with Vegas right now. But that could all change in the offseason.
Yeah.
But right now, to me, if you're trading a first round pick roster player of not necessarily equivalent value, but maybe if you get a defender kind of like a Zach Whitecloud mode that could fit in the bottom six, or a guy with a little bit more ability that can counteract or like replace an OEL, that to me right there just makes him even more valuable, and work that package, maybe even a little bit more of another pick, like another like mid second or third round pick in addition, if you don't get that prospect. So that is why like this whole entire thing, like I felt like talked about the Maple Leaf assets in OEL, McMahon, and even Robertson too. OEL to me is the one asset that they have that they could bring in a great reward or a great return to recoup some of those losses, especially what you lost for Brandon Carlo. And the Maple Leafs gave up Brandon Carlo. Is he actually worth a first? He does have the term, but then again, in hindsight, maybe not, because he's a defensive defenseman. OEL still has that upside that can make him a little bit more impactful for a playoff run. And not only that, he's got that cup ring.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
few comments here. Doc Lawton, the question is, do you guys trust Treliving to be the guy who's responsible for this retool? I personally do not.
No,
I
you
agree
can't.
with you. I think if you're gonna do the retool, you gotta get a person in place that you're gonna have long term. And
part of me wants to say that he is. I hope he's competent enough to go forward and get the pieces that he knows, and he has that vision. But with what he's given up and how he constructed the roster for this year without making the primary need a top six forward, it is tough. I feel like he is on the hot seat right now, especially if they miss the playoffs. And if they do go through a retool, then it's going to be somebody else.
Yeah. I would love to get a guy like Mike Greer, who's just like has like that deep knowledge of the game, and like I don't know. I'm a big Mike Greer fan for what he's doing in San Jose.
I will say early on, Greer did make some questionable decisions. I'm like, I know you're in a rebuild, but what are you doing kind of thing? Because even the Hurdle trade to Vegas too, I did not like that one at all. But he has followed that up with move after move after move to make his team better.
But what he did with the Hurdle trade was he changed the identity of that team, right? So
that's true, because he was the last one from that past iteration, right?
Exactly. So you were going in with a brand new face: Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, William Eklund. Those were the guys that you want to, Shakir Mukmadulin.
And now you add in Misa, Chernishev.
Yeah, like and like you had to move that to change the overall outlook of this team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe says OEL is definitely worth the first. At least I agree.
At least.
And Spike comes back with the Olympics can be a showcase for OEL. He'll
definitely
raise his value more. I agree. I think Sweden, with the injuries they have, OEL is going to be a huge.
He's a top four guy.
Yeah, he's going to
top four guy easily. And also, like, I was seeing him just like go after Mangiapane too.
Yeah.
After that little like snow.
Stolarz too. That's why I put in the title Stolarz is back, man. Because when he went at Mangiapane and then OEL comes in, where's everybody else?
Yeah.
Where's everybody else? I don't know. It's always going to be a question mark, I think, with the Leafs.
I was about to say too with Stolarz, and we'll even talk about Nylander coming back too. Like, how do you feel about him coming back too? Because he just kind of felt like it was rushed. He didn't get any game time. And we already talked about like the conditioning stint, whatever. But I don't know. It kind of feels like yesterday was probably his best game of the year because he stole that. But at the same time, it just kind of feels like maybe something's still missing with Stolarz.
I was uneasy about it until yesterday. I watched the game. I didn't watch the game. I watched the highlights. And some of the movements he was making, some of the saves that he made, the Draisaitl post to post.
That was a great one, yeah.
In the game, I believe on McDavid. McDavid was in the same spot, post to post. It made me feel a lot more comfortable. And then him coming out after the game and going to the post game and be like, yeah, I felt like myself. I finally felt like myself. That made me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
I still think like You've got to stay close to the situation just because the injury history, but definitely made me feel a lot better.
Yeah,
Joe, I don't know if I'd trade OEL though. Seems like a player you would want going forward.
I agree.
I agree. I
Yeah.
think trading OEL is going to be the hardest thing that you do as this franchise right now, but it's going to get you the most value in return.
Mm-hmm.
And OEL, yeah, I
And
think
not only that, too, I think in 2 years' time, when his contract is up, he's not going to be the same player anyways.
no, 100%.
So I feel like right now, when he's playing at his best, utilize that to your advantage. Again, I love the contract. I thought it was fair value when they signed him last year or 2 years ago. I think it's still fair value. I think it's great. I think he's been one of their more consistent defenders all year. It's just at some point you got to look forward to the future, and in 2 years' time, OEL probably may not be the same defender.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just
Yeah.
one last thing about Vegas too, and the Rasmus Anderson thing. The interesting part about him coming over. So obviously Vegas has got Marner signed through 2033. Jack Eichel now signed through 2034 at 13.5. Mark Stone's got another year left on his deal. Thomas Hertel signed through 2030 at 6.75. You've got William Karlsson right now on LTIR. He's eating up 5.9. So when he comes back, that's 5.9 back on the books. Riley Smith is a UFA after this season. He was making $2 million. Brandon Saad's a UFA after this season. Probably not going to be re-signed. Pavel Dorofeyev is 25 years old. Okay, he's an RFA after this season. He was only 1.8 million this year.
He's going to ask.
He's going to have a raise. Like he's going to have.
He's going to ask for big money.
He's your goal scorer, right? Colton Sission's obviously a UFA at the end of this year. Might not be back. And then you go into the back end. Pietrangelo, 8.8 to start the year. Obviously, he'll be put back on LTIR. Shea Theodore's signed through 2032. Same with Noah Hannafin. Together, they're about 15 million. Braden McNabb right now is on LTIR as well. He's eating up 3.6 million over the next 2 years as well. So to sign Rasmus Anderson, I know
they're at a
Rasmus
crunch.
Anderson right now is at 2.27, but if they go out and sign Rasmus Anderson for much more than that, it's going to be hard for this team to do anything. And they're
going to need to make a trade, and other teams are going to be like, well, you want me to help you out? Okay, well.
Yeah. And that's knowing very well that Aiden Hill's also signed at 6.25 through 2031. Yeah. Carter Hart's on the books for another $2 million next year. God knows what happens with him after his injury. But Akira Schmid is at RFA after this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they got some big names that they got to sign. I don't know if they can do it. I don't know if they can do it with Rasmus Anderson. So I'm wondering if that's why a deal hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
They wait to the offseason, kind of see what they go through and see if
they're trying to work that situation out of
some cuts. Yeah. So Doc Lawton says, I agree. OEL would get the biggest return. Absolutely. It doesn't make it any easier to move on from him.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to our update on our Princess Margaret Hospital donation fund for the season, the last thing I want to get to here, Peter, William Nylander return. In Calgary, he has this knack for coming up big. 37 seconds into the game, he scores on a breakaway. He has another big game. Last night looked good again. The Leafs finally got power plays last night for the first time in 9 periods, which is actually sickening from an NHL standpoint.
It's crazy that they even allowed them to have a 5-on-3.
It's sickening. It's sickening the numbers when you look at power play opportunities. But I don't even want to get into that because I think it's complete BS. But William Nylander has had 2 really good games since his return. Is this team better with William Nylander? He's obviously not going anywhere either. The Leafs don't want to make foundational changes. They want to make some surface level changes. William Nylander plays a big part in this on this franchise.
Did you see? I mean, obviously you watched all that homestand without William Nylander, and how
they do again.
I think they only scored 12 goals and allowed 28 during that homestand. So yeah, they were definitely missing William Nylander because before that stretch, and even when Nylander was missing out at that time at the beginning of January, Maple Leafs were still pretty consistent in scoring and finding the back of the net. It was a little bit more of a team game. But after that game against Pittsburgh and after the Christmas break, in the games that led up to Nylander's injury, he had, I believe, 4 goals and I'm counting 6 assists. So in that stretch from the beginning of the Christmas break to when he got injured in Vegas, where he had that goal and assist and he missed that game, he was productive. He was at his best. Then he gets injured again. He comes back, and already in 3 games, he already has 4 points. I don't know. I feel like definitely, I think something was really bugging him before, and now it's bugging him again. But now that he's back to being healthy, I feel like there's just a little bit more energy with him right now. I feel like there's more. Before he was like, we noticed the floating, we noticed the poor back checks and everything like that. But right now, we're seeing him more engaged. We're seeing him battling for the puck. I think there was that one goal where he was battling down low, worked a good give and go with Matthews or a passing play with Matthews, and then he passes it to Stetcher, and then Stetcher scores. To me, that is prime William Nylander and the Nylander that could do a lot of damage. So when he's doing that and he's on top of his game, he is absolutely lethal. And I think right now that he's healthy, going into the Olympic break, I feel like he's going to be a little bit more motivated. And I think when he comes back, I think he's going to have that a little bit more of that chip on his shoulder, saying that there were doubters with him throughout the whole entire season. There are going to be doubters during the Olympic break, and I think he's going to come back strong afterwards. Again, I hope you don't want, again, I don't want to say I don't want the Maple Leafs to win, but you at least want to see some compete. You want to see some energy. Even if they lose, I want to see that effort put forth. Nylander in the last 3 games has at least had that effort since coming back. And that to me is the biggest difference why. And with his return, because he's healthy, because he's a little bit more engaged, that's a good thing for the Leafs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do think, and Doc Lawton's right on it here. Bouvet must have had a talk with the officials. Actually, that's
probably showed
him the scars, said, you want to look like this.
But you were reading my mind. I was about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah.
Throw a little Joker quip in there.
Give us a few power play opportunities here. Nylander is also playing a more complete game since he returned. He's been defensively responsible. Which was driving Berube crazy early in the season.
He has.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Doc, and I think it's definitely shown in his game. I mean, the fact that Nylander is still 52 points in 40 games this season, 18 goals. He's still been able to produce, only having played a certain amount of the games so far this season, and he's still leading the team in points. Mm-hmm. He's doing what needs to get done. There's no chance that they move him at the deadline. He's part of that foundational piece that Elliot Friedman talked about on the Fan Hockey Show, and I can't see him going anywhere. I think this team's so much better with him in the lineup. He creates opportunity. He's always a threat to be a breakaway at some point in the game, and I'd have a hard time watching him or seeing him moved at any point as well. I did want to note one last thing. I'm just looking it up here. I want to make sure I have it right. I just wanted to give a quick shout out as we close out the show here. One last comment here. It's crazy to think how dominant Willie could be if he plays like that consistently. Yeah, very much so.
Yep.
And last couple seasons he had more consistent years. This year I think injuries have played a huge part in that, which kind of stinks. But he's definitely lethal when he's at a consistent rate here. Before we close it out, I just wanted to quickly give a shout out. 3 players in the Alberta area were lost on their way to practice earlier this week, or last week rather. I'm just making sure I have the names right here, but 18-year-old Cameron Casorso and JJ Wright and 17-year-old Caden Fine were in a vehicle. Their vehicle collided with a semi truck. And unfortunately, all 3 of them lost their lives on their way to practice. So, of course, as we know, the hockey world is a very close knit community. So our thoughts go out to their families, their teammates, and all of their friends as well. Gary Nylander is finally showing his leadership, not just his skill. Yeah, he's shown his leadership. That's right. I'm totally kidding. But no, absolutely, Gary. I couldn't agree more. I think that's what he put. What you can see in his face when he's sitting on the bench and he's just playing at a different level. Anyways, outside of that, you've got the number for the Princess Margaret Hospital donation that we're making this season because of the Austin Matthews goals. So if you want to throw that out there for them as well.
Yes, we are now at $42 with all the goals that Austin Matthews has scored this season. We were including preseason, regular season, and we were going to include playoffs, but we don't know exactly how that's going to play out. But we're hoping that Matthews can at least put a few more tucks away if he doesn't make the postseason. $42 is where we're at right now. For every goal, we are donating $1.50 to Princess Margaret Hospital for cancer research. Everybody knows someone that's affected by them. I've had family members or a family member that has been affected by that as well. So that, to me, this donation really hits home and is close to heart. But yeah, we're really good number so far. I will say that $42 has been the number for Matthews at this point.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be, and like you said, we'll see how the playoffs play out if we have some playoff goals to add to that. Gary, remember Willie all thinks we're all number one. Yes. Yeah. Yes, you're right, Gary. Anyways, Jimmy over on TikTok says he fell asleep, but he's back in the live and watching as well. So thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
He can get caught up on the live show afterwards.
Yeah, you can get caught up. It's all on YouTube, so you can check us out there. Anyways, guys, appreciate the commentary. Appreciate the comments as well. You guys have all joined in. Hunter on TikTok says Sleepy Jim in the chat. Oh, he's hearing some snoring over here. That's my dog. I got a French bulldog, so that's my dog over here.
Oh,
okay.
He's getting his too. Yeah.
Anyways, as always, guys, we appreciate you joining in, and like we said, the freeze goes into effect this afternoon for NHL trades. The belief is Artemi Panarin is going to be traded prior to this freeze, so stay tuned on that. Cam Robinson's got the all the insight on that one. And otherwise, we'll be live again next Wednesday talking Olympic hockey rather than NHL hockey, and any Leaf content that we might have, including Oliver Ekman-Larsson with Team Sweden. Otherwise, before we close it out here, Peter, you got anything left that you want to let our listeners know?
Nothing now. I was just doing one final scroll through, but I did see that the Dallas Mavericks are trading Anthony Davis. NBA, not a hockey one. Big trade going on in the NBA, as is tradition with their deadlines. So,
that's right. Super teams galore.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. Anyways, okay, guys. Thanks again for joining in. Thanks for all the comments. Until next week, when we'll be live again for some Olympic hockey on episode 224. That's all we got here at 6 and 6 in episode 223. For now, have a listen to our friends